Was that new music I just heard on the early edge? Yes, it was. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. My name is Sia Nejad, otherwise known as the Counselor of Cash, and we've got a great show headed your way. Before we look at the recap screen, actually, let's just go ahead and look at the recap screen here. Listen, we had maybe four great days in a row. So this one, a losing recap screen, 4-7. We carry over Mike's picks from earlier in the week. He goes 2-0 in golf. Absolutely love that. I hit my golf play, but we didn't have a ton of luck anywhere else. So we go 4-7 after what? I think a 5-1, 4-1, and 5-1 day, back to back. So we got to improve on 4-7 though, because we're always trying to find winning days. Don't forget, this show brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Let's bring on the crew here. We've got an amazing Monday crew. That includes all of you in the chat, Joe and Rob and Joseph Akers and Christian Hastings, Matt Snyder. We got Buckets. We got Mackenzie Brooks. We got Mike McClure. Gentlemen, ladies, I don't know where to start. I will tell you, a couple of you missed Friday's show. I don't know if you saw some of the antics. Mackenzie, I go to you first. Did you see any of that? And were you jealous you weren't on the Friday show?
You know, I think I did see the GIF on Twitter, and I had a lot of questions, but I figured I would wait till today to have them answered here.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike McClure, I don't know if you caught any of that, but I do want to congratulate you. 2-0 in golf. I don't know if you hit an outright as well, but I guess maybe not a ton of people on Aldrich Potgeider. How you doing today?
Yeah, no outrights. Good. Great day in DFS. We did have Potgeider in DFS. So a little 5X on that this weekend. Yeah, fired up to be here. It's Wimbledon. That's my my favorite time to get through the summer months until football. It's basically Wimbledon, then we maybe take a vacation and boom, football season.
Yeah, we've got a lot to address today. One thing I mentioned last week in Buckets and Sniper, I'm going to get to in a second, is that during these quote dog days of summer, where a lot of shows might just be churning out, baseball picks, maybe soccer as well. We're going to have WNBA, which we have today. We're going to have NFL futures. We're going to have tennis. We're just going to diversify the portfolio quite a bit. Buckets, how are you doing today? Have you rebounded from Friday?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm still here. I'm still alive, and that's all that matters. Sia, ready to talk some more FIFA Club World Cup. We haven't given up on making money on this competition yet. Now we're down to the round of 16, so hopefully some more competitive matches for everyone taking place.
And Sniper, the main show in town on a Monday this time of year is baseball. How's that baseball slate looking today?
A little light, not much to choose from, but we're going to do our best here. I am very happy that I'm not suffocating from having a top buttoned shirt on this time around. So hopefully my picks land this time.
You absolutely loved it. You cannot blame the top button there, Sniper. You looked dapper, I must say. All right, let's get to some picks. Bucket, start us off with some plays for the pitch.
We've got a really bizarre one taking place at 9 p.m. this evening, there's the right word, taking place between Manchester City and Al Hilal. And this is one where the books think it is going to be one-way traffic for 90 minutes. Currently, Manchester City are expected to win this by 3 or 4 goals. And while that might happen, Al Hilal have shown that they can play against the best teams in Europe, like we saw with their 1-1 draw against Real Madrid. I wanted to find a good kind of sneaky bet in this one, so I'm going for a player prop. We're looking at Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, 1+ shot on target at +115. Every single Al Hilal player currently is plus odds to have 1 shot on target, and Sergei is the guy that in this competition not only has had the most shots for Al Hilal, but he's also the guy that has played in 90 minutes every single match. So you want to make sure to find a guy who's not going to get subbed out in the 60th minute. Sergei is going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders here, but he's the kind of guy that will shoot from anywhere if needed for his club.
I mean, I have to try to pronounce this on the recap screen, Buckets. Is it Sergei Milinkovic-Savic? Is that what you said?
If it helps, Sia, I was on Galazzo Network this morning, and I said it wrong and was corrected by the Galazzo Network people. So you can't do worse than I've done this morning.
That's a great first impression, Buckets. How can we catch you on Galazzo Network? Can you tell everybody? Oh my God!
Look at me all super red and embarrassed in the face. You can catch me on Galazzo Network on random days. There's no schedule yet, really, but anywhere between 8 and 10, some days between Monday and Friday on the Galazzo Network.
All right, that's big stuff for Buckets. Big stuff for everybody on this panel. You can really find everybody everywhere. Mackenzie, I want to find you next for, what do we got, a WNBA prop?
Yeah, we're going to the W here. I apologize. I lost my voice-ish this weekend, so bear with me here. But we have a game tomorrow, the Commissioner Cup's final here. So this is for tomorrow, and I do think it's a play you want to get on now because some books have it closer to -160. So we're going to Kelsey Mitchell, which is Caitlin Clark's teammate here, who's actually has phenomenal. So we're going to fade her under her rebounds and points here at 12.5. This is a number that I just don't think she will be hitting now that Caitlin Clark's back. Obviously, something she's been able to go over. However, now that they're playing the number one defense in the entire league, this is going to be a lot more humbling situation. I think it's supposed to be rebounds and assists, which might be my bad sending that over to producer Ben, but it's 12.5 rebounds and assists is what we're looking at. Hasn't gone over it in her last 3 games, and when she is going over it, she's just barely going over it as well. So you have Caitlin Clark here to bring assists, basically take them out of her hands as well. And you're also playing the best defense in the league. So between those two things, I feel like this number is a little inflated.
Okay, so just to be clear, did you say this was Kelsey Mitchell over 12.5 rebounds and assists, right?
Under 12.5 rebounds and assists.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I messed that up. Under 12.5 rebounds and assists. Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Kelsey Mitchell, under 12.5 rebounds and assists. All right, there was some stuff going on in the chat that I want to point out, but speaking of the chat, some of you are going to be joining us on July 9th at Yankee Stadium. And I don't know if everybody saw my tweet on Friday afternoon, but I'm going to be at that Mariners-Yankees game on July 9th at 7 o'clock. So hopefully we get you there as well. I will point out that over the weekend and including this morning, there has been an issue with the tickets link that is posted under this YouTube channel, or excuse me, under this chat and on the just on Twitter in general. But I think they're fixing that right now. So you should be able, if you want to go to this game, there's still tickets left to get into that first 75 and get free early edge merch. But if you want to get in there, that link should be working later today. So follow up with us, follow up with me specifically, or Larry or anybody else if you're having issues later on this afternoon. But we should be good to go. And we've got a lineup, like we're going to update this flyer because there's a couple of more people at least that are going. In Buckets, I got to ask you, because I thought on Friday, you may have implied that you may be coming that way. Was that just me misinterpreting something?
No, it's kind of how I live my life, Sia, is I tell one people one thing and one people another. Keep everyone on their toes. No one knows if I'm going to be there or not, and I kind of like it that way, Keep it a little bit secret.
Okay, so Buckets may or may not be coming to the Yankees game. But again, I'll be there. We're going to have an updated flyer. You're going to see some of the other people that are going to be there. So very excited about that. Ben, do we have, before we get to the sports line plays, do we have home run plays? We may not. If not, let's just go to, because I know
no home run plays yet, unfortunately.
Okay. Sniper, I know you have a couple of home run names to get to, but let's get to some sports line picks before we get to the rest of the picks. We got a lot of baseball to cover. We got tennis to cover. I've got an NFL future to cover. Here are the sports line picks. Carlos Rodon under 5.5 Ks at plus money, plus 110. That one courtesy of Prop Stars. And Patrick Corbin under 16.5 outs at minus 110. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. Again, Prop Stars and Prop Bet Guy with 2 picks. Rodon under 5.5 Ks at plus 110 and Corbin under 16.5 outs at minus 110. Sniper, I do want to ask you, did any of those two jump out at you in particular? I know you don't typically do like outs and Ks props.
Yeah, I looked at both of them. Rodon has actually been hit really hard by the Blue Jays throughout his career and recently. Both Corbin, the Orioles were terrible, just downright brutal against lefties early in the season, but they picked it up a little bit. And Corbin, while he was good for a while and we had to throw Patrick Corbin Day away, he's actually gotten hit pretty hard in his last couple times out. So, yeah, I could see both of those for sure.
Okay. Looks good. WNBA apparently expanding to 18 teams, says Mark Buchholz. Mackenzie, have you heard anything about that?
I haven't. Maybe I've been living under a rock here, but
maybe that's just
awesome.
Yeah, maybe that's just rumors at this point. But let's see. There was one other thing, Mackenzie. You mentioned how you lost your voice. I'm not going to ask you how you lost your voice, but it reminds me of something that somebody asked us on Twitter last night. I think it was Taylor Dutton. He first said, "What's your favorite song?" Which whatever, we could get into that. But but the follow up from him, which I thought was fun, and I'm going to go around the horn here. If you were forced to sing any song karaoke style, like which song would it be? Mackenzie, you're still in contemplation mode. I am too. Buckets, is there a song that comes to mind that you would sing if somebody was like, got to sing one karaoke song, get up there? What's it going to be? You choose.
It would be Kanashimi ga Tamaranai, which is I Can't Stop the Loneliness, which is kind of a Japanese ballad about how you're going to die alone. And I think it's very beautiful. And it's one that I know from heart. Sia.
That is so beautiful and so sad at the same time.
Come on, man.
I just bring the mood down, but it was such a great answer nonetheless. Sniper, what's your answer here?
a little less lighthearted. Kickstart My Heart.
Okay. Mike McClure, I don't see you singing karaoke, but if somebody just forced you to do it, what would be the song?
I'll take the chalk with Joe Neuenfeld in the chat. We'll go a little Sweet Caroline. That way I know the audience is singing with me.
So you don't have to.
So smart.
Yeah.
Just hold the microphone out.
Mackenzie, you've had time.
Somebody said something country for Ken's. I did think of Feathered Indians. That was a good college classic there. I will say, when I was interning at ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut, and there was not a lot going on, we did go to the karaoke bar often and did perform Bohemian Rhapsody a multitude of times, which also caused me to lose my voice years ago.
That was quite the acronym drop on ESPN. Gotta love it, Mackenzie. Okay. I don't have a good, you know what comes to mind? I don't have a good answer here. I got to think about it. Like, I think it would be funny to sing the New Radicals, the Music in You. I like that one hit wonder band. I think that would be fun. All right, let's move along. I answered the question, Taylor. My favorite song is, okay, Jeff Stenberg. That's going to be a New York hate thing. All right, let's get to Sniper. We're going to go to you next with your baseball picks, but we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. By the way, I was thinking of Garth Brooks, and Stephen Cook says friends in low places is a crowd pleaser. I feel like that's on the similar like Sweet Caroline thing where you know the crowd is going to be there with you. I think that is... I changed my answer to that. I think that is a great answer. I don't like country music, but Garth Brooks is an exception to that rule. So really like that answer from Stephen Cook. David Baum says Motley Crue. Very interesting.
Well, no, because I typed into the chat that nobody had any idea what Kickstart My Heart was.
I had no idea what it was.
I meant people on this panel here. I figured some people in the chat would know, but yeah, you guys had no idea. It's Motley Crue. So
okay.
I'm the old one here. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh, Zach H also correcting me. It's Get What You Give. I'm sorry. It was like last second that I thought of that recall. Get What You Give is the New Radicals. That's the actual title of the song, not the Music in You. Sorry. Okay, let's get to some baseball. I've got an NFL future to give out. Mike, you've got a tennis pick to give out for Wimbledon, but we're going to start with the Phillies and the Yankees. Sniper, hit us.
No. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Phillies and Yankees. Like, no, those are my two plays. Yes, we are. We're going to go with the Phillies on the run line here. Zach Wheeler on the hill against the Padres. I know that a lot of people think about the Padres having a robust offense. It's actually not that great. They're 23rd in the majors in OPS, 23rd in runs scored. So it's not that great of an offense. You've got Zach Wheeler on the mound at home where he's generally dominant. Matt Waldron pitching for the Padres, making his 2025 debut. He's got knocked around a few times in AAA, 5.04 ERA on his minor league rehab assignments. He's an interesting pitcher because he throws fastball, slider, knuckleball. Usually when you see a knuckleballer, it's just a straight knuckleballer like Tim Wakefield, R.A. Dickey going back to Charlie Huff. But Waldron will mix it in. I feel like he's going to leave a few hanging knucklers, which I guess in baseball parlance you would just say when it doesn't knuckle. And that's going to lead to one of my home run plays. But I think the Phillies are going to knock Waldron around. I think Wheeler's going to be dominant, so I'm going to play the run line on that. And then on the Yankees play, which Sia already gave away with a slight spoiler, I'm going to go north. Yankees at Blue Jays. Yankees team total over. Basically just fading Max Scherzer. I think he's cooked. He's almost 41 years old. Last time, his first outing back from the injured list against the Guardians, he gave up 6 hits and 3 runs in 5 innings, and the Guardians don't have a good offense at all. So I'm just fading Scherzer here. Another thing to watch, Aaron Judge had been really, really cold. He hit 2 home runs on Sunday. Maybe he'll get ready to go on another heater. That takes the Yankees offense to another level. If you don't want to look at Judge for a home run play because it's always the odds are never that great. Jazz Chisholm is really, really locked in right now. He's a lefty against Scherzer as a righty. That'd be a good one. To circle back to the Phillies game on a home run play, Schwarber. I love Schwarber. If Waldron tries to mix a knuckleball against him and it doesn't knuckle, that's an automatic home run. If you want to go a little bit deeper, I'll stick with the former Cubs theme following Schwarber and go with Wilson Contreras against lefty Andrew Haney of the Pirates in PNC Park. Contreras is comfortable there. He's been there a ton of times. Haney's been really, really bad lately, so I'll go with Wilson Contreras there. A couple questions. KC3 asked about the Giants team total under because the Giants have not been hitting against the Marlins and the White Sox. It's tougher going to Chase Field because Arizona, it is a hitter's park, but Ryan Nelson on the mound for the Diamondbacks has been great. So if you want to go on that, that's fine. Carson says he likes the A's on the money line. They're an underdog in Tampa Bay, but Jacob Lopez, lefty on the mound for the A's, has been really, really good his last 4 starts. So I would like that one.
Okay. And Mackenzie, speaking of home run props, it looks like you dropped a link where the home run props live.
Correct. I dropped the link accidentally in 2 different messages, so I'm trying this again. This one should take you right there. But yeah, we hit 2 over the weekend. Those are coming out right now. Jake's working on those for our team. Been a very successful summer so far with that. So we're going back to Ketel Marte here and a few other guys. So definitely look out for that because they'll be posted probably by 11.
Okay. Joe Neuenfeld says, I'm about to give up on the D-backs. Sniper, it's just not looking good for the D-backs, right?
No, I mean, it's anytime they get hot, they completely fall apart. And if you look last week with the White Sox and Marlins on the schedule, that's a good time to make hay. They win their first 2 games, but then they lose Wednesday. They've got the day off. They go home to face the Marlins, and they get swept by the Marlins. And several of the games they had a big lead and blew it. It seems like the pitching staff is too ravaged, especially they lost a couple of relievers. They lost Corbin Burns for the season, the Tommy John surgery. There's just not a lot going right there. And they are, 5 out of the last wild card, but there's 3 teams to jump over before they even get there. So probably not happening.
All right. Mike, I want to get to your Wimbledon pick, but I actually want to get your take, if you have one, on the pick I'm about to give out. And Mackenzie, maybe you as well, to the extent you all have studied the Denver Broncos, because I'm going Denver Broncos over. This is an NFL future. By the way, we're 65 days away from NFL kickoff, which would be, put your favorite 65. It might be 66, but I'm pretty sure it's 65. Dave Butts days away from NFL season, offensive lineman for the Washington Commanders. But I'm going with Denver Broncos over 9.5 wins at plus 110. Really like the plus number here. In some places, it's minus 105, even money, but you can get plus 110 at some major books. And the bottom line is, I think Denver's really good. First of all, they won 10 games last season. Their schedule is kind of a mixed bag. It's kind of in the middle of the road from a strength of schedule standpoint per the Warren Sharp metrics. But, and honestly, there are some stretches where they could lose a couple of games in a row, but I love what they did in the offseason. Now, granted, on the offensive side of the ball, they did a couple of little things in getting RJ Harvey, Evan Ingram. The receiver core isn't great necessarily. I like Bo Nix. I like him going into his 2nd year, and I like him being coached by Sean Payton. I don't think that sophomore slump is really coming for Bo Nix. I think he's an average to above average quarterback. What's not average to above average is the Denver defense. It might be the best defense in the league, maybe behind the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe ahead of the Philadelphia Eagles. Already an excellent defense last year. They added at the linebacker core. They added in the secondary in a couple of ways, in free agency and in the draft. They've got a great defensive line. I think this defense is going to be a huge problem for every single team that plays Denver. So I'm going to take the plus money over 9.5 wins. Let me circle back to Mike. Mike, have you looked at the Denver Broncos and profiled them in any regard?
Yes. And I hate to be on opposite sides, but I do not like Denver personally this year. I like the Chargers side better. I think that if you're playing either one of them, though, you should attempt to parlay an over and an under on whichever side you like. I think there is essentially no scenario where both teams go over their win total. So I personally lean to the Chargers side more than the Denver side.
I will say this, Mackenzie, before I get your reaction. Week 1, they play Tennessee at home. Like, that feels like an automatic win. Then they go to Indy. We'll see about Indy in terms of their quarterback position. I think they win that, but their next 3 games are really tough. They go to the Chargers. They're at home against the Bengals, which is certainly going to be tough. And then they go to Philly. And then they've got a stretch where there's like 3 winnable games. So the schedule kind of rocks back and forth. But again, I think for me, Mike, the issue is, I think this defense, everybody knows they're good. I don't think people really understand how good they are. And so that's sort of where I'm resting on this 9.5 at plus money, but obviously respect your opinion. Mackenzie, any thoughts on Denver?
Yeah, we have them at 9.2. So I think getting plus money, just from a betting perspective, I wouldn't disagree with that. The defense, I agree. I mean, by all metrics and opinions, they're like a top 3 defense in almost every way. And I'm with you on Bo Nix. I think he has a great year too. I will say I am also with Mike on being super high on the Chargers. Like, I mean, I think they could be a good value play to win the division. It's like closer to plus 300. I think it's around plus 250 maybe. That's something I've had my eye on, just thinking that sometimes the Chiefs, if I were the Chiefs, I wouldn't care too much about these regular season titles, but that's when the Chargers thrive. So kind of playing for both sides here, but I think at plus money, I like the over.
Mike, real quick, what is it about the Chargers? Because the Chargers seem like a reasonably complete team that doesn't have a ton of upside to me. Talk to me about why you like them.
Yeah, some of the big reasons I still really like their offensive line. I think the offensive line is just great, but I also think they have, you talk about little stretches of the schedule. I think after that game against Kansas City in week 1, I think they've got a very relatively easy schedule to the point where it wouldn't shock me if they won 6 or 7 in a row. Yes, they got that tough game with Denver. That'll be close to a pick 'em. They catch them at home, but it's Raiders, Broncos, Giants, Commanders, Dolphins, who will be awful. Colts, that game will be a pick 'em. That's also a home game for them. And they also catch Minnesota at home, and then they go to Tennessee. They also play Jacksonville. I just think that there's a number of really interesting situations where they can rattle off a lot of wins in a row.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. Looking at the schedule makes a ton of sense. Joe Neuenfeld says Chiefs to miss the playoffs. I mean, I could see it. Joe knows that I made that prediction. Mike, I made this prediction. I went on Joe Neuenfeld had a podcast. I don't know if he still does. And it was a bunch of people on that podcast. I went on that podcast. I'm not ashamed to say it. 3 years ago, when Denver had just acquired Russell Wilson, either 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. And I said, I think Kansas City might miss the playoffs, because Tyreek Hill had just left and Kelsey was getting older and all that. And it was like maybe the dumbest thing I've ever said. So, because they won the Super Bowl that year, by the way. All right. So let's move along. Let's go to tennis, Mike. Talk to me. By the way, so much more NFL content coming on this show and other shows. CBS Sports Network today at 12 o'clock. We're starting that show off. I'm going to be hosting it with the NFL. So a lot to talk about today at 1 o'clock, Wednesday at 1 o'clock, Thursday at noon. You can find the early edge on CBS Sports Network. All right. Talk to me about tennis, Mike, and then I'll circle back for questions, and then we'll get everybody out of here.
All right. Wimbledon time. We're back in Ben Shelton here. I like Ben Shelton in straight sets. This price point currently plus 180. That implies 35%. I think it should be closer to 45%. I think it is a massive edge here. I think the price point should be plus 120. When you look at Ben Shelton, he's finally cracked the top 10 in the ATP rankings. Since joining the top 10, he has not won a match. He hasn't won a match at either of his last 2 times out. I will make the assumption here that he doesn't care about anything other than majors at this point. When you look at what he was able to do on clay at Roland Garros, really strong performance, even took a set off of Alcaraz where he eventually lost, and then went to that very next event. Following that, lost to Zverev in 2 tiebreakers, I might add there. So he's played very well against the top tier competition, and he's had his career best finishes at both of the first majors of the season so far. I personally think that he cares about major season more than anything else. He gets an opponent in Bolt who, yes, he's had a little bit of run at Wimbledon in the past. He's also now 32 years old. When I look at Ben Shelton at 22, this is a spot where I think he simply turns it on, flips a switch, cares about playing in major championships. You're getting an extreme discount here at plus 180. Again, had he had a little bit better form running in on these little grass court tournaments, I think that this price point would be closer to plus 120. So I'm taking a shot here. Straight set victory, Ben Shelton over Alex Bolt plus 180.
Okay, good news, everybody. We have a home run graphic ready, but we're not going to show it quite yet because, Buckets, I want to circle back to you real quick to see if there's any soccer questions you need to answer. And Mark Buckholtz wants to know, what's your input on Denver over 9.5 wins at plus 110?
Yeah, I'll get to that. Let me do that first, Mark. Denver over plus 9.5 wins. How many games are in a season? Just to confirm that. 17. No, that's under. It's just not enough time. Not enough time, Mark. Go with the under on that one, based on absolutely nothing at all. But in the soccer world, we've got a good matchup with Inter Milan taking on Fluminense at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Good if you like really boring games with no goals. Fluminense has played 2 of their last FIFA Club World Cup games to a 0-0 draw, going against a much better Inter side. They're going to try to do the exact same thing. Under 2.5 goals is minus 175, which is ridiculous juice. If you want to play that line or game, parlay it with Inter double chance to get you to minus 110, but you'd have to bet on unders to find value there or to go with the books, and that just makes me sick, Sia.
All right. Buckets, we riding Chelsea all the way, ask K-Joe.
I'm not. You sorry, not to be rude, Kjo. I'm not. You can. I think PSG is absolutely terrifying right now. Chelsea is good, but when they match up against one of these other European giants, I could be wrong, of course, but I think Chelsea just can't stand up right now.
All right. Stephen Cook saying he loves the number M squared on the Ben Shelton bet. That is a nice plus money number. Japan is calling in the chat. I do want to mention Japan, the DFS show tonight at 7:00. It's me, Mike, and Rick Gaiman for obviously the golf tournament. It's our DFS show. And I will tell you, your guy, Emiliano Grillo, is somebody that I'm really going to like going to this tournament. Mike, any thoughts on Grillo? Because I think I'm going to have a play on him later in the week.
Yes, I am running the actual model right now. I have Emiliano Grillo third this week. He's probably 20th or so in bet sportsbook odds. I have him third. Those sims will be up on SportsLine later today. But yes, very much in agreement.
All right. And we'll be talking about that again on this SportsLine YouTube channel at 7:00. All right, let's take a look at the home run chart before we get everybody out of here. And Sniper, I'll get your comments here. And Mackenzie, if you want to weigh in, absolutely. Abreu, Ketel Marte, Josh Jung, plus 575 versus plus 600, plus 420 versus plus 600, and plus 360 versus plus 420. That's where the value is. Sniper, your thoughts?
So Abreu is versus Chase Burns, hot Reds prospect who struck out 8 in his debut. I actually thought about taking the over on strikeouts on Burns, but it was heavily juiced and I didn't want to deal with the alternate line. I don't know. Yeah, you could get the Reds bullpen there. Ketel Marte, Logan Webb, but the ball flies in Chase Field and Webb is not near as good on the road as he is in San Francisco. And Josh Jung is versus Trevor Rogers, formerly of the Marlins, who got traded to the Orioles last trade deadline in I guess we'll call it a controversial deal since everybody killed the Orioles for it. But Rogers has been good so far this year. It just looks probably too good, maybe waiting for the other shoe to fall there. So yeah, any one of those three. I probably like Marte the best, even though it's against Logan Webb, to be honest.
Mackenzie, you had mentioned Ketel Marte before this chart came out, so that's probably your favorite. Certainly SportsLine model says we've got a lot of value there.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so good to us this summer with these as well. I mean, he's hit, his 17th home run in just 57 games, including yesterday. So 14 of those 17 have been against right-handed pitchers. So I think Logan Webb has had success against him in his career, but I just think he's seeing the ball so well right now. So I think it's always worth a consistent play on him.
All right, good stuff. Let's take a look at the recap screen. We've held you long enough here, 28 minutes on the early edge. I've got a win total over the Denver Broncos over 9.5 wins at plus 110. Certainly you heard the counter argument from Mike. So always consider which side you like before you make your bet here. Kelsey Mitchell under 12.5 rebounds and assists at minus 136. That one courtesy of Mackenzie Brooks. And then the sniper goes Phillies run line. That's minus 1.5 at minus 106. And the Yankees team total over 4.5 at minus 110. Then we go to here we go. Man City, this is buckets, of course, versus Al Hilal, Sergey Milinkovic-Savic. 1+ shots on target at plus 115. I think I got that right. Wimbledon, Ben Shelton, 3-love at plus 180 versus Alex Bolt. We're looking for straight sets there. And then we go to our SportsLine picks. Carlos Rodon, under 5.5 Ks at plus 110. That's courtesy of Prop Stars. And then Patrick Corbin under 16.5 outs at minus 110. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. Jeff Stenberg says we need football so bad. Yeah, we're all ready for football, but we got a lot to cover, including to cover on CBS Sports Network. Don't forget today at 1 o'clock, doing a lot of baseball. We're going to do a lot of NFL. Catch it at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, and Wednesday at 1 and Thursday at noon. You can watch that on CBS Sports Network, Paramount Plus, CBSSports.com, YouTube TV, DirecTV, Hulu, Fubo. And again, we're even putting the team profiles on the SportsLine YouTube channel. So there's just no way you can miss any of this stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a long show. On behalf of Mackenzie Brooks, Mike McClure, the sniper, buckets, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. This is the early edge. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow or maybe on CBS Sports Network today, and definitely 7 o'clock tonight for the DFS show. We rest our case.